You take the easy route out regarding Lukaku, Don. Turn your back on him, dropping him to the bench instead of trying to work him and get him back into a team, because clearly he's still got something to offer when you've given what he's done at Inter so far this season.
Yeah, I thought that was a mistake. I thought that was a massive mistake. If you are going to get rid of Lukaku, you have to make sure that you have the player in. That's just that's a necessity. That's really, really obvious. And I think he would have learned by that. But listen, Ollie would have had the thought process of, right, and we're not suggesting that Lukaku is the bad apple. We're just saying he might be one of the few names that's getting banded around. But I thought that was a mistake. And I think with Lukaku, I was looking at his numbers before, and only at Everton has Lukaku played more than 100 games. So he has been a character where he's gone into squads and he's played 75 games, he's played 50 games and even less, and he's been moved on. Now you see, if you manage him correctly, like Antonio Conte has, and you pair him with Martinez and you build a squad in and around Lukaku and you say the right things to him and you genuinely put an arm around him and give him the love that he wants, you're seeing a Lukaku at Inter now that's a completely different player than you saw at Man United.
Was Craig a bad apple, Don?
No. Listen, it's funny when people say bad apples, because no one intentionally in a squad is a bad apple. And the characters inside of a dressing room, 99% are good, honest players and characters. Now, I've been a bad apple because, and I'm sure probably Craig has if he's ever tried to force a move, and there could be 100 reasons why a manager comes in and thinks you are one of those bad apples. You might not get on with the manager. You might not see eye to eye. He doesn't fancy you as a player. He doesn't like your personality. You might be worth a lot of money to that football club, so he wants to sell you on to bring other players in. And then, of course, you're not going to go in training laughing your head off and flying every single day. You're going to try and ask him the questions, have decent dialogue. If it's not good and it's frosty, you'll be on the phone to your agent, and I'm sure the club would be as well, trying to move you on. So bad apples is a term that's used in football, but listen, anyone at any given time inside of a dressing room can turn that way.
Just take the three players that were mentioned, if it is those three players. Don't forget Ashley Young left the club as well, and there's been others. Ashley Young, who, of course, played under Ferguson, and I don't think too many bad apples play under Ferguson. But you go to Arsenal and ask, was Sanchez such a bad apple that United wanted to sign him for the fact that he did some great stuff with Arsenal? Was Paul Pogba, or whoever it is, such a bad apple at Juventus? Was Lukaku a bad apple? Ask Roberto Martinez, and his goal-scoring record for Belgium is excellent. Ask Antonio Conte. The problem is sometimes, as Don said, management want to go in a different direction. I don't think any of these players mentioned, if those are the ones that are particularly bad apples. Sometimes managers come in, and managers are a great breed for paranoia. They always think somebody's trying to plot against them, when half the time nobody is. But sometimes certain managers like to work with younger players. I'm not suggesting this is Solskjaer's scenario, but sometimes they like to work with younger players because they can more of an influence on younger players. Senior players will tend to, at times, ask the question. If you say something to them, they'll say, well, why? Or what we're doing that for? And younger guys are not necessarily prone to do that, but that doesn't make you a bad apple. It makes you a guy who's got experience, and you want to know an answer to maybe why something's been done. So, listen, managers see things in a different way. It matters not a jot, by the way. It matters not a jot. You can do another 100 podcasts, and so can every other manager. You can talk about bad apples, you can talk about great signings. The proof will always be in the pudding of results. And hopefully we'll get some results at the end of this season.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.